After a few very long months, the tariffs in the United States are finally in place. So today's episode is going to cover exclusively what this means going forward for the rest of the year for the economy. We're going to talk about the old economy and the new economy. We're going to talk about the traditional economy, your regular mom and pop shop, your retailers, your transportation companies, and then we're going to talk about how it is or isn't affecting the new economy, tech services, AI, so on and so forth. So I want you to sit back tight, and I hope you guys enjoy. So we are officially at the point where the majority of tariffs are in place, save for a few countries that are still working out deals like Switzerland. It appears as though we are moving forward with this method and we are not going to be revoking any more tariffs. Of course, this can all change. Carve-outs can be made, such as with those semiconductor tariffs that were essentially all carved out last night. But for the most part, the bottom line here is that we are now living in a world where we have an average American tariff rate of roughly 17%. Now, this compares to an average American tariff rate of roughly 2.5% at the beginning of 2025. So it is a seismic sea change. There's no doubt about it. And there's no way around the fact that there are going to be both positive and negative consequences for our economy at large and therefore for all financial markets. We're going to cover the pros and the cons, and I'm going to start with the pros here because it's not all bad. There are still some stuff that are positive that can hopefully ride out all of this tariff induced weakness that we're seeing in the economy and hopefully help us get through this adjustment period. Now, we are in the middle of an AI revolution as a country. It's not hyperbole to say this is a once in a generation, possibly even once in a century moment where businesses have to once again modernize themselves for a rapidly changing world. The last time this was happening was during the computer revolution of the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And prior to that, it was the industrial and railroad revolution of the early 1900s and late 1800s. And we are in a new phase where general artificial intelligence is becoming commercialized to the point that businesses, consumers, households can use it on a regular basis. Now, this is causing massive investments from companies, specifically from technology companies, as they are trying to get ahead of all of this. AI is generally considered a winners take all type of industry. Now, what that means is that whoever can get the first commercially viable product into people's hands is going to have that first mover effect and they'll benefit for generations from it, right? A great example of this is ChatGPT, right? So many people colloquially refer to a LLM, a large language model, just as ChatGPT. If you ask somebody that's not really into the tech world or into the finance world, they'll say, hey, I'm going to ChatGPT it. They don't say, hey, I'm going to Llama it, or I'm going to Grok it, or I'm going to Meta AI it, right? It's become ingrained in their mind that LLMs are synonymous with ChatGPT. Now, this can also have many other effects going forward because whoever gets that first mover effect is going to amass a lot of cash early on. As an example, ChatGPT's user base has quintupled, which is 5x in the last year. All of that cash is funding their future operations and their future investments into improving their LLMs going forward. This is a very cash heavy industry. So access to cash is critical here. One is via credit, one is via equity, but one is from good old fashioned free cash flow that can be reinvested. So it is an arms race, quote unquote, between these tech companies to see who can get there earliest. And this is a massive tailwind for the American economy. On yesterday's podcast, you can guys go back on the Forbes YouTube page and watch it. I spoke about just how much AI is adding to the economy right now. It is contributing more net growth to the American economy than all of consumer spending is. That is wild because consumer spending is 10 times bigger than AI is. Yet AI is contributing more net growth to our economy at this point in time. Crazy to think about. So we covered the good stuff. Now, we always want to be fair. We always want to think about everything. So I also want to obviously cover the downsides in our economy right now. And there's a few of them. But let's focus on two specific parts right now. Housing and consumer spending / the job market, which are very correlated anyway. Housing right now is completely frozen. We have not seen a housing market this cold in the United States since 2008. There are a few states in our country, specifically Texas and Florida, that had a boom during COVID because you had residents from New York and California moving to better climates to have cheaper housing so they can get bigger space for them and their families. And it led to a boom, which led to a building boom. And then what ended up happening was that the population growth slowed down slowly while the construction did not slow down. And now we are in this very substantial adjustment phase where builders are going to have to sell down product that they thought they were going to be selling for X for only 80% of X. And that's going to cut into profits. If they are over levered, it's going to cut into their equity, so on and so forth. And eventually it's going to cut into manufacturing, construction jobs, you name it. Jobs at Home Depot, jobs at Lowe's, jobs at Sherwin-Williams that sell paint, you name it, it's all affected. There's a famous saying on Wall Street, as the housing market goes, the entire economy goes. And it's true because the housing market, first of all, it's everyone's biggest asset. But second of all, it is such a wide supply chain. Building a home or renovating a home, as I'm sure anyone that's ever done homework can tell you, you deal with hundreds of vendors and they deal with hundreds of vendors and those people deal with hundreds of vendors. So it's a very long chain of people that are affected if home spending goes down in our country. Now, the next part that is really alarming is the job market and by virtue of that, consumer spending. The job market is cold right now. There is really no way around it. This morning, we got continuing claims in, and since April, since right around Liberation Day, it's just been a straight line up and to the right. Continuing claims, which basically means somebody that is unemployed, that files for a jobless claim, and then the next week, he or she reapplies for jobless claims, meaning in this previous week, they have not gotten employed or been given a job offer by anyone. And continuing claims rising is a very good indicator of a slowing job market because it means employers are pulling job offers off the market. You can also see this in private sector data. If you look at employment companies like Indeed, job listings are being rapidly removed. If you look at Jolt, same idea, job listings are being removed. I really stress this, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I have to tell you again, how unemployment grows in America historically is you do not go from job growth immediately to job cuts. There is an interim phase. You do job growth and then you do no hiring but no firing. Companies are trying to tough it out. They're trying to weather out the storm. They're trying not to fire people because if they fire people and we end up avoiding a recession, they're not prepared for what's the positive economy that's on the other side of all this. And on top of it, it is very hard to retrain new employees. So companies are really reluctant to lay people off. But then the longer it goes and the more the economy overall slows down, companies have no choice oftentimes but to begin laying off people, especially public companies. Now, you guys have to remember, public companies are run by a board that is not the majority owners of the companies. They are people that are doing a job, the CEO, the CFO, in the majority of cases, that really joined the company only a few years prior. And their main form of compensation is via the stock price. And what drives the stock price? Well, it's profit, it's earnings growth, it's profit margin, it's returns on equity. The easiest way for a company to protect its profit margin and its return on equity and its profit estimates for the year is to lay off people because it is their biggest expense for most companies and it is the only one they can discharge of at will. Obviously, no company can get rid of their interest expense or their utility bills that easily, but they can more easily, unfortunately, I hate to talk about humans like this, but get rid of employees rather than, getting rid of some other expense obligations that they have. So look, we have pros, we have cons to this economy. I think it's manifesting very uniquely on a day like today. The NASDAQ was green/flat today. The Dow Jones, which is more of the old economy, was crushed. It's down close to 1% on the day. So I think we're already seeing it manifest in security prices. I think Wall Street is getting the signal that there is a bifurcation in our economy between the haves and the have-nots right now, and it is likely only going to get bigger as the year goes on, as we head into back to school season, as we head into the holiday season. I believe we will see this. I believe we will see stuff like the Apple Store spending go up, while at the same time we see home goods spending go down. And that is just something that we have to caution. Nothing is good or bad. It's just something we have to caution. And our job here, I've always said, is just to call the balls and the strikes. So that's it for this week, guys. I hope you guys had a great time this week, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone again on Monday for our next episode. Have a good one.